Chapter 7. Try Faith and Prosperity. The keys to the kingdom of heaven were given to faith, which can unlock any door. The fulfillment of all desires is given to faith. Fences are torn down, walls crumble, doors spring open under its power. When we hold steadfastly to the fulfillment of our desire, the law of faith establishes it as a reality in our lives. Prosperity is already a part of our nature. If we are not experiencing abundance, we are holding wrong states of thought. We are, so to speak, standing in our own light. Our faith is working against our best interest instead of for them. God does not withhold anything from us, but we withhold good from ourselves through our lack of awareness and understanding. Do you see why it is necessary to change your point of view? As God's sons, we are entitled to all that God has. It may take time to get this realization, but we must work on it until it comes. Read the words of the prophet Haggai. The silver is mine, and the gold is mine, saith Jehovah of hosts. Everything in the world belongs to God and is held by Him until we claim our oneness with Him. When we are wrestling with financial difficulties, it is hard for us to accept the fact that we have to get onto the spiritual basis and change our perspective. Robert Browning said, "Truth is within ourselves. It takes no rise from outward things, whatever you may believe. There is an inmost center in us all, where truth abides in fullness, and to know, rather consists in opening a way out, whence the imprisoned splendor may escape. Thus in effecting entry for light supposed to be without. The place to appropriate divine substance is within the consciousness. Our lack of faith, awareness, and understanding is the only obstacle that can restrict or prevent its expression. There is no limit to divine substance, but the limit we place upon it in our thoughts and beliefs. It flows through us in our affairs according to the degree and our acceptance of it. The capacity of our faith is determined by the quality of our thinking. Faith is a state of quality of mind which may be used for good or ill, for success or failure, for prosperity or poverty. Used negatively or against our best interest, it becomes fear, or as we say in metaphysics, faith in evil. Every decision we make and everything we do are acts of faith. We have at this moment all the faith there is. Our responsibility is to choose how it shall be used. Rich is he who uses it in the right way. Positive faith is the belief that we have the power through God to accomplish all things. It brings more of everything good to those who cultivate it. It is a mighty magnet that draws from mind's substance the fulfillment of every right desire. By faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death. By faith Noah prepared an ark to the saving of his house. By faith Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac. By faith Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months, and his parents. By faith the walls of Jericho fell down. And what shall I say more? For the time would fail me if I tell of Gideon, of Barak, and of Samson, and of Jephthah, of David also, and Samuel, and of the prophets, who through faith subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouth of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, turned to fight the armies of aliens." Jesus understood the negative and positive aspects of faith. He said, "Whosoever shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which he saith shall come to pass, he shall have whatsoever he saith." When a man thinketh within himself, "I never get any breaks, everyone takes advantage of me, I was born under an unlucky star, nobody wants me, I'm a misfit, I never get any opportunities," and believes that what he says is true, these conditions will certainly exist in his life until he changes his belief. Stop right now and ask yourself how you've been using your faith. Think for a moment about your thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, and conversation. Have you been representative of what you would like to see materialize in your life? Have you given evidence of your awareness of the source of supply? Since faith plays such a vital part in all creative activities, we must make sure that our faith is positive. The poor man does not need more faith, but needs to redirect the faith he has now. Many men have dreamed dreams and imagined wonderful things who lack the faith to bring them into being. The dreamer has his place in the scheme of things, but dreams without faith are futile. Possibilities become tangible only through faith. Man may have great plans, but without faith in his ability to put the plans into operation, the plans die. James Freeman Clarke once said, "All the strength and force a man comes from his faith in things unseen. He who believes is strong, he who doubts is weak. Strong convictions precede great actions. The man strongly possessed of an idea is the master of all who are uncertain or wavering. Clean, deep, living conviction rule the world." Once we have perceived God as our supply and have convinced the personal self that this is true, prosperity will come as naturally as the rising of the sun. When Jesus said, "Whatsoever things ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye have received them, and ye shall have them," he was telling us that there is no space between the idea of good and the consciousness that supplies it, because the idea is in mind. In demonstrating prosperity, we are dealing with ideas and not money. Vivian May Williams said, "God has nothing to give you but ideas, but these ideas are your sustenance and support, for you are a spiritual mental being, and therefore nothing can nourish you but ideas. Since you are mind and not body, the consciousness of an idea is equivalent to receiving the thing itself, for all God's ideas are things in reality." We speak of mind as the only actor in the universe, but we know that it acts on ideas, and ideas are crystallized and clarified through words. Holding the right words is mind until they form a consciousness of themselves, gradually develops a subjective conviction that enables one to say, "All things that the Father hath are mine." Prosperity means different things to different people. So what does it mean to you? What do you see? What do you feel when you speak the word? Clarify your idea by making a list of the things you would do and the things you would have if you had great prosperity. See yourself using all this abundance and wealth. Activate your faith by keeping this vision before your mind. Believe that God wishes you to be prosperous. Believe that your desire is fulfilled now. Study the things in the New Testament that Jesus said about money. Know, however, that you cannot go beyond your mental equivalent. If you desire an abundance of money and have a subconscious pattern of $75 a week, you will find yourself in the $75 class. The subjective pattern is always more powerful than the conscious demand. Those who have continuous prosperity have established a habit of prosperity. Prosperity habits can be stored away in the subconscious mind like reserve funds in the bank. The people who have plenty of money are the people who do not have to think about money. They have a subjective conviction that they will always have plenty of money, and they do. Their conviction has created a subconscious pattern in their lives. The poor man, on the other hand, has no conviction about universal supply. Believing that money depends upon the sweat of his brow, he limits his capacity for making money to this one means. The materialist thinks that there is a limit to God's abundance. The metaphysician knows that it is inexhaustible and always asks for all the money he can use. Demonstrating prosperity is like demonstrating anything else. We must follow the rules to secure results. If we are not satisfied with what we are getting out of life, we must find out where we are falling down. We must examine ourselves. The answer is not in the outside world, but within ourselves. We are limited in supply only because we are limited in our beliefs. The principle of prosperity will have no limit in our experience when we learn how to accept and use it. To get big dividends, we must make the right investments. 1. We must learn how to increase our faith. Many people start out on a spiritual project with the purpose of increasing faith, as though it could be pumped up like a balloon. The way to make faith grow is to put into action the faith we already have. When we put faith to work in the right way, we find that it is limitless. Faith is one of those rare and precious possessions that no one can borrow, buy, beg, or steal from us. It is something that no one can give us. But by faith is so inadequate, you say. Well, then develop it. The moment we understand that all faith is individualized in each one of us, we begin to see that the possibility of experiencing abundance is limitless. Back of every fortune and success is faith. Once we have established it, growth and prosperity are inevitable. 2. We must see money for what it is. Money is only the symbol of our ability to express beauty and order and comfort in our lives. It is one of the many external evidences that we have established our unity with the source of all good, with the universal Creator. Prosperity is an outward and visible sign of an inward and spiritual grace, the belief in a loving and all-powerful Father. Rising above a lack of sense is consistent with the breaking down of other limitations and the complete acceptance of freedom from anything that hinders the operation of the divine law in our lives. If we think of prosperity in terms of dollars, we have an erroneous concept. Money is a basic part of our economic system, but dollars are merely the medium through which supply comes. If there were no money, there would still be bread, beans, eggs, cattle, automobiles, houses, and land. The medium is not important. If we have the consciousness of prosperity, we shall have lots of bread, beans, eggs, houses, dollars, or whatever the medium of exchange happens to be. When we realize that our consciousness is the substance of all form, we shall no longer depend upon material dollars, but upon spiritual ideals. The reality of money is not in dollars, but in consciousness. Jesus' statement, "Whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it," applies to money, too. He who loses the false sense of material dollars will find plenty of dollars. Many persons think that money comes only from time spent at labor. But there are many business executives and others who do very little work and yet draw huge salaries. They take vacations 2 or 3 times a year and do pretty much as they please. Do these men draw tremendous salaries because of the numbers of hours they work? Well, by no means. They are convinced that they are worth that much, and they get it. Money is a spiritual thing. Otherwise, Jesus would not have taught us to pray, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth." The truth is that Jesus said more about money than he did about heaven. Indeed, it is one of the mediums through which God's purposes are worked out. Jesus never condemned riches as such, nor condemned any man because he was rich. There are still people who believe that money is evil, but they go right on working for it and using it. The evil, you see, is in their belief, or in the unworthy ends to which money is often put, and not in the money itself. Just as good circulation is necessary for the health of the body, so good circulation is necessary to prosperity, in our bank accounts, pocketbooks, and our mental attitude toward money. How then shall we increase the circulation of money in our affairs? By loving money for the good we can do with it. What we love increases. When we think of money as the means God uses to maintain a circulation in our affairs, our supply will increase. Let us be careful, however, about hoarding money or damming it up. The moment we fence it in, we violate one of the basic laws of prosperity. David sang, "The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein." Think of that for a few minutes, and you will see that we do not own anything, not even our lives. We are only stewards of money, holding on to it for a brief moment, and then giving an account as how it is to be used. Do you remember what Jesus said to the man who thought he owned all the stuff he had acquired? "Thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then whose shall these things be, which thou hast provided?" The answer to this question is in the free-for-all which so often follows the reading of a will or settlement of an estate. How proudly some people boast of the possessions they have amassed. They act as though they are going to live on this earth forever. It never occurs to them that all they have to do is pass into some other's hands. Perhaps we should remind ourselves at least once a day that our business is God's business, and that our money is God's money. What a difference it would make in our income if we could get a sense of God in our job, profession, or business. If we could write over every farmhouse, doctor's office, mercantile company, law firm, courthouse, dry goods store, hospital, and mill God's business. If every owner or worker would say, "I am in business with God." When we bring God into our business, it becomes God's business. We claim to have but one God, yet our conduct, conversation, behavior often proclaim many gods. Whatever we ascribe power to becomes a god to us. We should remember this when we are tempted to give power to depression, limitation, unemployment, and hard things. The secret of the enduring prosperity is not only to attune ourselves to the divine source, but to acknowledge it constantly in gratitude and faith, leaving it to God to create the channels through which the streams of abundance flow into our lives. The ability to attract money is as much a spiritual gift as the ability to translate the Bible. 3. We must realize the reciprocal relationship of giving and getting. Some years ago, an astonishing article in one of the great newspapers of Detroit told of a number of persons who had gained great wealth because the farms which had belonged to their parents or grandparents had become valuable subdivision property which had yielded them fortunes. Then it is told of what happened to a great number of these people. One tragedy after another had resulted directly from the unwise use of the money. Gross immorality, divorce, crime, and insanity had entered into the lives of many of those who had come into possession of large wealth, for which they had rendered no corresponding servants to the world. Roger Babson said, "If things are not going well with you, begin your effort at correcting the situation by carefully examining the service you are rendering, and especially the spirit in which you are rendering it. This is particularly good advice for one seeking to demonstrate prosperity. It doesn't make any difference what kind of service you may be giving, tailoring, dressmaking, typing, bookkeeping, servicing cars, or preaching sermons. The important thing is the spirit in which it is rendered. Trying to acquire wealth without giving service is self-defeating. Money gained by gambling, crooked deals, shady practices, dishonesty, and theft brings sorrow, frustration, disappointment, for no service has been rendered for the money acquired. Inherited wealth often brings quarreling, trickery, and unhappiness, which it is becomes nothing has been done to earn it, and plans for its use are self-centered. If there is no vision or plan for worthwhile service and inherited wealth, it quickly disintegrates. There are persons who make pledges of money to churches and other worthy causes and fail to fulfill them, and yet these pledges are promises or covenants or contracts. Does anyone think that money saved or withheld in such a manner benefits him? Doesn't he realize that in the course of time he will lose the amount of unpaid pledge in some unexpected and unforeseen way? Thousands of people can testify by this kind of failure that they have lost the amount withheld and more through means that they had not dreamed of. A man may be ever so proficient in prayer, meditation, practice, and knowledge. He may know the Bible from cover to cover. He may be well versed in metaphysics, mental science, and psychology. He may know the law, truth, and principle. But if he fails to serve mankind, gives grudging, half-hearted service, or is selective in his service, he cannot prosper. Solomon said long ago, "In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path." Jesus said, "Inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, you have done it unto me." George Herbert gave us 4 lines that tells a story. "A servant with this clause makes drudgery divine, who sweeps a room as for thy laws, makes that and that action fine." For we must forgive our debtors. We can never be prosperous and free until we have forgiven everyone for everything we hold against them. Before good can flow toward us, it must first flow from us. Do you remember what Jesus said about the acceptability of a sacrifice? "Leave there thy gift before thy altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift." On another occasion he said, "When ye stand praying, forgive, if ye have aught against any, that your Father which is in heaven may forgive you your trespasses. But if you do not forgive, neither will your Father which is in heaven forgive your trespass." According to Webster, the word forgive means to give up resentment against another because of wrong committed, to give up any claim which we may have against another, to absolve, to pardon. In Aramaic, the word forgive means to release and set free from bondage. When we refuse to forgive another for some fancied or real hurt, we not only bind him, but we also fetter ourselves. Because Jesus knew how difficult it is to nullify revengeful and destructive attitudes and feelings, he said to forgive 70 times 7. Multiply 70 by 70 and we have 490. Not many of us need to go this far with forgiveness because we usually flush the resentment out before we reach the first 10. 5. We must have the mental equivalent of that which we pray. Remembering that wealth is a relative thing, we should never pray for a specific sum of money. We should specify our need, the purpose to which we pray for it is to be put, or the effect we want it to have. We should think in terms of abundance and of the relationship of our desire to greater freedom, increased livingness, and full expression of life. No understanding person desires money for money's sake. He sees in it a means of happiness, freedom, independence, contentment, peace of mind, and ability to help and serve others. We should preface every claim with the words, "I am," strongly accented. Jesus said, "Before Abraham was, I am." St. James said, "Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow or turning." The good and the perfect gift already exist, though unseen. We cannot create prosperity by working, begging, worrying, striving, or thinking. The finished kingdom is not taken by violence, but by recognition and acceptance. When the little self is raised to the understanding of the I am, or the truth of the real self, the mere wish for a thing will draw it to us. If God is all good and we are one with God, everything we desire is ours now. Are you ready now to demonstrate prosperity through the power of your faith? Having cultivated the ground, it is time to plant the seed. Your desire is for greater prosperity. God knows how to bring it to you. You are dealing with law. Law knows how to provide what you need and also how to furnish the channels through which it shall come. Since this has been explained step by step in great deals in a previous book, you too can be prosperous. Only a brief outline is given here. In all spiritual therapy, work should be done in silence. Approach the treatment through the following steps. 1. Believe that there is nothing too great for God to give you. God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye always have all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. 2. Believe that you are attracting a prosperity which is commensurate with the unlimited and inexhaustible riches of spirit. Then shalt thou lay up gold as dust, and the gold of Ophir as the stones of the brooks. 3. Believe that this prosperity already exists for you. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. 4. Believe that it is yours by right of consciousness according to the promise, and my God shall supply all your needs according to his riches in Christ Jesus in glory. 5. Believe that you ask for has already been given you. What things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye have received them, and ye shall have them. 6. Believe that money is flowing to you from every direction. According to your faith, be it unto you. Treatment for prosperity. In the stillness of the silence, I open my mind and heart to the divine substance of spirit. I acknowledge God is the source of all supply. I cleanse my subconscious mind of everything that would prevent me from recognizing my right to all good. I empty it of every thought of lack, limitation, and poverty, and give my whole mind over to the thought of the abundance of God. I feel this substance pressing against my consciousness for expression as I recall His promise. Before they call, I will answer. My whole being is aware of the outpouring of His riches. I know that the fulfillment of my desire for prosperity will be demonstrated without delay. I know that the supply I ask in prayer, believing I shall receive it, my supply is here now. It is within me and around me. It flows to me from every direction. It comes to me wherever I am and whatever I do. My supply is instant and unfailing. I am richly endowed with an abundance of everything good. I accept this prosperity now. I identify all my enterprise, activities, and plans with success. I think according to principle and accept abundance in every form. Whatever I need is wherever I am. I no longer see lack, limitation, or poverty. I claim the all-sufficiency of God. I am one with God and His wealth. Wealth fills my purse, my bank accounts, my life, my home, my business, and my world. I use the money I have wisely, release it in faith, and know that it will return to me, pressed down, shaken together, and running over.